This episode of Warp Factor 10 is brought to you by, well, of course, you. If you want to learn more about how you can support the show, go to patreon.com/thearena_podcast. Hey everyone, welcome into Warp Factor 10, our show on all things Star Trek. So in this episode, we're going over our Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Episode 3, Ghosts of Illyria. So I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burly of Burlyman Gaming. Burly, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. All praise the light. How are you?
Oh, praise the light. I knew you were going to say that. The light be praised. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. So yeah, I'm 100% now. I'm over the third Corona vaccine, the booster shot, and all that stuff. So yeah. Speaking of vaccines and viruses and everything. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some of that tonight in this episode. So Ghosts of Illyria review. Now, just a warning for all of you that are watching this. This is a spoiler-filled review. Obviously, all of our review shows usually are. So if you have not watched Episode 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, please go and watch the episode before coming back to watch our video. So yes, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. So with that, let us begin. Let us begin in the light, Burly.
Yes.
So, of course... So the Enterprise and some of the crew, of course, number one, Spock, Pike, they go to this supposed colony where these Illyrians were supposed to be, and they had disappeared. And the thing about these Illyrians is that they're a species that were banned by the Federation due to their genetic engineering. So they were kind of, in a sense, like Khan and Khan's people. So of course Khan was genetically engineered and everything, but so they were going there to investigate this disappearance of these Illyrians. And you were telling me earlier in the week, Burly, that where they filmed this, actually, you don't see the dome in this image here for all of you of course, watching our video, but the dome, and it's in one of the images that I'm going to show coming up next. That is close to Toronto, you were telling me?
Yes, it is in Toronto. And even this part here, I think, is on the harbor of Toronto. This is called Ontario's Place.
Ontario's Place, okay.
Yes, for anyone that doesn't know, for just a little thing of Canada, Toronto's in the province of Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
So they have their little Ontario's Place. I've actually not been there. I'll be first to admit it, but it is.
And what do they have in this dome, actually?
That I honestly, in real life, I don't know, because I've never been there, but I know there's shops and stuff around there.
Okay, so it's not like an industrial area, like
there's a little bit of tourists, but you still have, because it's close to a harbor.
Okay.
So you've got a bunch of ships and stuff like that.
Yeah. So anyway, so as they're on the planet here, this big ion storm starts to come their way. Yeah, it's like an ion storm. Yeah. So, you know, Una, of course, number one, and the other crew members, except for Pike and Spock, beam back to the Enterprise. And Pike and Spock are staying because Spock is looking at this relevant, trying to find data as to why the Illyrians had disappeared. So, anyway, what did you think of these scenes in the beginning of the episode, Burley?
Um, I enjoyed it. I was like at first when I saw it's Ontario Place, but then you get in the dialogue back that they're trying to figure out of a species, a new species to the show, saying trying to figure out what happened and exploring.
Yeah. So here in this image here, this is the dome. You can see the dome in the background there in that image. So
yeah. So I like this. This is the stuff with Star Trek I do like. Them going out trying to find other life forms to contact. Obviously, they're not bringing them in the Federation because they say why the Federation has banned them.
Right. Because they genetically altered themselves. Yes. So yeah. Which is I guess kind of weird in a sense, but then again.
Well, I'm sure the Federation has had experiences and will eventually with Khan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have that when you've had bad experiences like that, they're going to label it because in most cases, people that are changing themselves genetically and all that, it's to be better physically dominating and all that. So
yeah, and Khan was referenced in this episode as, of course, number one and La'an. You know, we're speaking. You know, La'an actually mentioned his name. You know, so that's kind of interesting. So anyway, obviously there was a virus that got through the transporter system, and we're going to talk about why that happened later in the episode. But so yeah, those crew members start to get addicted to light, and it's like that one crew member. Now, I'm wondering, was that the actor who was in Dune? I'm trying to remember. The ensign that I don't know if it was him or not, but the one that
does look similar.
Does look similar, and he smashed his head up against the the glass there and broke it, because of the light. So
I'm actually going to quickly look that up because I think that was the same guy that it looks so familiar. It might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure, but anyway, while you're looking that up, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about what was going on. So then, of course, a lot of the other crew members started to become affected by this virus, and the addiction to the light, and of course, number one, she was immune to it, obviously, because she is an Illyrian, and so it got to the point where she had to come out with her secret, because the doctor had to, to come up with a cure by synthesizing her blood to be able to try to help the other crewmates. And as the episode kept going, more and more of the crew were becoming affected. But what's interesting is there were some that weren't affected really, like Nurse Chapel. I mean, Nurse Chapel herself really wasn't, affected during this time that several of the other crew members were being infected. So, Burley, did you find out any information there? Anything?
I was going to say no, it's not the same actor.
Okay,
they just look really close.
Really close, really like yeah. I was thinking it might have been him, but no. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, number one has to have her blood synthesized, of course, and the doctor, Mabenga, of course, takes a blood sample and everything. And we're going to talk about Mabenga later in the episode and what went down with him. But anyway, what did you think of her coming out about being Illyrian? And before you say anything, Burley, it's funny, before this, Illyrians and Ilorians, like in Star Trek Picard, of course, Guinan is an Ilorian. right?
Yeah.
Illyrian. So the pronunciation is almost very ssimilar. So you can get
Yeah.
that confused very easily. So like
Oh yeah.
when I heard her say I'm Illyrian, you know, and like Ghosts of Illyria and stuff, I was like, oh, that's Guinan's race. But no,
Yeah.
Guinan is an Illyrian. Yeah. So yeah, but the pronunciations are almost similar. But anyway, go ahead, brother. What did you think of of her coming, you know, coming clean and you know, basically having to admit that she's Illyrian?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Why do they have to pick such close names for species? Because like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like I know you want to market Star Trek is to the intellectuals and all that, but you're still going to get people that are going to get confused.
right,
So
right, yeah, yeah,
you want to get it different as much. But I did like this, and then she is like she's fighting it, but she knows for the benefit of her crew to save them, this could be the only shot they have. So she has to.
yeah,
She stops hiding and just admits it and says, "Do it, try it."
yeah. Yeah, and I love that banter between, of course, her and the you know, the chief engineer. So Henner. I mean, this guy's pretty cool, man. I really
Oh, I'm
like him.
loving them.
I mean, he's great. But he almost fried himself later on in the episode there when he was like trying to use the transporter to like transport some like almost look like the core of a sun or something, you know.
Yeah.
It's like well, no, you can't do that, you're gonna burn yourself to death, buddy, you know. And of course she stops him and all, but yeah,
Well,
I mean, yeah, go ahead, man.
I says like I love the one scene with him in the med bay
Yeah,
because she asked him, "You need to do like a level 5 diagnostics," and he's
right,
like, "This will take a long ass time."
right,
But she's got a good reason because she wants to beam this. She wants to figure out where this is, where it's coming from, and how do we stop it. And
right,
he's going everywhere, and eventually comes into medbay,
yeah,
and then you've got him. He sees there's one thing that he just needs to check out in medbay, and the doctor is so nervous,
right, right.
and
And
then
we're gonna
eventually
go ahead.
that says eventually he does check it out quick, and then but all the lights go out, and all the people that have been affected so far, they're just freaking out because they have no light on them,
Right,
and then
right,
it turns back on, and then you get the line from the doctor.
yeah,
They have high vitamin D deficiency,
yeah, yeah.
and here comes our sponsor here to help you out. Sunny D, everyone, get yourself some vitamin D in a bottle.
Okay. All right, all right. So that's what you were hiding from me before the episode started. I'm like, you know, you're like, I have something. I'm not going to show you what it is yet. And I'm like, what is it? You know, it's like, yeah, all right. So
I bought a bottle for like yesterday.
right,
I'm searching because we're going to a few stores and stuff. I saw this. I'm
yeah.
like, I had the idea in my head. I'm like, oh, we'll just do this as a little funny little gag in the episode.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, Monster Energy, of course, the vitamin drinks as well, but a little bit different. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all right. So, but man, oh man, I mean, in this episode, we see like the genetic engineering that she has within her, especially when she fights La'an later on in
Yeah.
the episode. I mean, she's just got super, you know, she's got super strength, you know, kind of
Super
like a
strength,
con. Yeah.
endurance.
Yeah. Endurance and strength. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, she just like picks up La'an like a little rag doll, you know, and just, just walks her through there. But, yeah. So anyway, let's get to the point, of course, with, you know, Pike and Spock back on the planet. Obviously this ion storm is just like raging, but then obviously the remnants or what's left of those colonists, those Illyrian colonists, of course, they had, you know, turned into like the ghosts, you know, and they actually saved Pike and Spock, you know, but at the beginning they thought, you know, these things were going to try to kill them, you know. And so as you can see in the image here, Pike has his, you know, phaser probably set to kill, you know, and well, Spock is like,
He might have it set to stun
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's not
maybe,
100% sure.
yeah. And then of course Spock, you know, he's just like casually reading these like manuscripts there, you know. So, but but he's actually finding out what actually happened to these people. So so I mean, basically, they were trying to reverse engineer themselves, and that's what was their doom, basically, because they wanted to join the Federation. So they were trying to reverse engineer themselves because they knew that the Federation would not accept them in their current state. But yeah, so of course they save Pike and Spock,
Like,
and yeah, and of course Spock is able to find out in those manuscripts there that that's what they were trying to do. What'd you think of that, man?
I like that because it shows you they're like, okay, if this is what we need to do to get into the Federation,
Yeah,
let's just do it.
but turning into like plasma like beings, yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
well, they didn't see that coming,
Right? Of course not. Yeah.
None of us saw that coming.
Yeah.
They're plasma beings now.
Yeah.
And that one of them nicks Spock.
Yeah, Nick Spock in the neck. Yeah. So, yeah.
So
yeah.
None of us no, I didn't see it coming that they were going to be plasma beings, but I did enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course, the ion storm passes, and they're able to get back to the ship. But before that, let's get to the Doctor, because I really want to talk about this. This is really kind of an interesting thing here. So the reason behind the virus being able to get through the transporters and affect the crew was because the Doctor was using an older transporter to keep his daughter in stasis. So his daughter is like in stasis, like as a just a pattern in the transporter buffer. And he, of course, beams her to a part of the sick bay and is able to talk with her once in a great while. But basically, the reason why she's in there is she has a terminal disease, and I guess the only way to prolong her life is to keep her, in the transporter buffer. But the problem is, it's an older transporter buffer, and that's the way that the virus was able to get through and to affect the crew. And of course, the dialogue between number one and the Doctor afterwards, her compassion for his situation, it's like, we're going to find a way to be able to keep this, transporter buffer operational so that, you're someday I'll be able to meet your daughter, and hopefully there'll be a cure. Anyway, what'd you think of that part?
I like that. And we learn more about the Doctor here. Like, you learn more. Why is he out wanting to be on a starship? Well, his daughter's got an incurable disease, and he's hoping by going to planet by planet, world by world, he can maybe find something to cure her.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, because as this series progresses and we do get to the point where Kirk takes over as captain, and then of course Bones comes in, what happens to this Doctor? Maybe his daughter gets cured somehow and he's able to leave the Enterprise. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see, but and then of course, like with the engineer, with with Hemmer, I mean, where does he go? I mean, as this series progresses, because of course they're going to have to replace him with Scotty at some point. So, so I mean, yeah. So it's interesting how these characters' arcs are going to play out. And now we know with the Doctor, at least, I think there is an out for him if his daughter can be cured at some point during this series.
Well, I think they'll do some kind of there'll be the out of there'll be a cure on a world, but she has to stay there for either forever or a period of time.
Uh-huh.
and this is where he takes his leave,
Hmm.
and then that's your in to bring in Bones.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And yeah, maybe it's after Kirk takes over. Who knows? We're not sure, but
And if they don't already have Bones casted, please bring back Carl Urban. He did such a good job as Bones.
yeah, but I don't know. I mean, that's the Kelvin timeline. I don't know if they would
Yeah,
bring him into the TV
I know
series.
they won't. I know they won't. But you
Yeah,
know what I mean. Like
yeah, yeah.
he
He
did
was a good
such a
Bones
good
for sure.
job.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Now let's get back to number one here because you know, obviously at the end of the episode, she was in her quarters and she was making a log entry, but she deleted that log entry because, basically she was wondering whether or not Pike would have been more prejudiced,
Mhm.
if she, had not helped save the crew, you know. And so she just decided to delete the log entry and
Yeah.
just keep it to herself, as she had kept the fact that she was an Illyrian to herself for so long. But of course, Pike, would not accept her resignation. And of course, he, gave her high praise, saying that she was the best
Yeah.
first officer in Starfleet, and so basically he's going to keep it a secret to himself. Um, so what did you think of that part?
Um, I enjoyed their conversation of Pike not taking a resignation, her wanting to feel like she should resign and all this, and he's like, "Not you're the best number one
Mhm.
out there,
Yeah.
and I'm taking it. Like, you're staying here."
Yeah.
And she's like, "You can get in trouble." His face, you can just see on his face. Oh well. He's like, "Oh no, they're going to tell me I can't be a pilot, be captain." A pilot. I don't know why I said pilot.
Yeah, I mean,
you,
this is where go ahead. Go ahead.
you could just see it. Like part of me thinks he said this just as he has this in case Starfleet ever checks in on him or something and tells him to come back
Mhm.
for this, and he gets like court-martialed.
Mhm.
This is his out, so he doesn't have the fate of the cage.
Mm, yeah.
That's part of me thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just setting things up little by little here. Like with the doctor,
Yeah.
like I was saying with the daughter, now of course with number one, and the fact that she's of a race that is banned by the Federation. Whether the Federation would actually, kick her out, who knows? Because we really don't know what happens to number one. I mean, in the original Star Trek series, we don't really see what happens to number one. It's basically, you have the pilot, and then of course, then when Kirk takes over, Spock is already first officer.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's going to play out in Strange New Worlds. I think we're going to see that later on, maybe episode 10, because episode 10 will be the final episode of season 1, and then of course James T. Kirk is coming in season 2, and
Yeah.
he's going to obviously become the captain. So, and Spock will become first officer. So I mean, yeah, I mean, things are going to play out little by little throughout the season. And the next episode, I think, episode 4, is going to revolve around La'an again, if I'm not mistaken. But we shall see. But and then I think episode 5 is based on is a story on Spock. So like we were saying in the previous episode, we're really enjoying the fact that each episode has a story arc per a particular crew member. So like episode 2 was on Uhura. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes and how the story arcs play out for each particular character. So yeah.
Yeah, same. I can't wait to see what they've got with each character getting more of their backstory, getting to learn a bit more, and just focus on that. I do
Yeah.
like that. Like I love this kind of format. Just focus in, do
Yeah.
your one and done stories.
Right.
Focus in. We learn more each about each character.
Yeah. And what's interesting about the Illyrians, I mean, I'm sure there's more Illyrians out there in the universe.
Mm.
So what does this mean? I mean, now that we know that they were trying to reverse engineer themselves to be able to join the Federation, maybe some Illyrians that are out in the universe somewhere, maybe they have been able to successfully reverse engineer themselves. I mean, so do they get accepted into Starfleet or into the Federation later on? I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they ever address that. Maybe not, but we shall
You
see.
never know. It might got brought up, but I was going to say there could be a few that even if they haven't reversed engineered themselves, that are just hidden in Starfleet.
Yeah, it could be.
You
I mean,
you never know.
Never know.
She got in.
Yep.
She got in. So
Yeah.
if she got in, there's other people that can get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I think that's going to do it for our episode 3 review of Ghosts of Illyria, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So, of course, our Marvel side of things, I just wanted to give a brief, programming note here. We recorded our, of course, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness spoiler review, and it's going up to YouTube right pretty much a few hours after we record this. So, go and check that out if you're into Marvel as well, and all the Marvel movies. So, yeah, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We had a cool time talking about the film. So, hope you can enjoy that. So, cool. So, I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burly Gaming. We will be back again for our next episode, episode 4 review next week of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So, we'll be excited to watch that. So take care and enjoy watching this video and all of our other videos. So take care, everyone. Peace
Take care, everyone.
out.